He was used to being invisible, until that night. The cafe was warm, humming with laughter and silverware. Rain tapped softly on the windows, and couples leaned in close over candlelit tables. In the far corner, a man in a designer suit wiped the last crumbs from his plate, lost in thought. That's when he noticed her, standing silently by his table. Her coat was soaked through, her shoes thin as paper, her hair clinging to her face from the rain. But her eyes held something most people had long forgotten: dignity. "May I have your leftovers, sir?" she asked. No trembling. No shame. Just quiet hunger wrapped in pride. He blinked, caught off guard. Around them, conversations dipped. A server stopped mid-step. No one had the courage to interrupt, yet all of them watched. Her voice hadn't been desperate, but human. Not asking for charity. Just survival. He stared, unsure what to say. She didn't flinch. She just waited. Then, without a word, he pushed the plate toward her. She didn't reach. Not yet. "I don't want pity," she said gently. "I just haven't eaten today." He nodded once. Slowly. "Sit. Let's eat together." The moment cracked something open in the room. And in him. Kindness had just made contact. Her name was Elise. She sat across from him slowly, as if unsure whether the chair would welcome her. The millionaire, Thomas, signaled the waiter, ordered another dish, but Elise shook her head. "This is enough," she said, gently picking at the remains of his meal. Every movement was delicate, not from weakness, but from grace. She ate with the manners of someone who once hosted dinner parties, who knew which fork to use, who had once been somebody. Between quiet bites, he asked her name. "Elise Bennett." She spoke it like a whisper from another lifetime. He asked where she was from. She smiled. "From a place I still visit in my dreams." And slowly, her story unfolded, not in complaints, but in memories. Once, she was a teacher. A good one. The kind kids remembered. She had a son named Aaron who loved stories and hated broccoli. Then came the illness. The kind that doesn't ask for permission. Insurance ran dry. Savings drained. She gave up everything to keep him smiling until the very end. And when he passed, the silence was louder than any grief she imagined. Thomas listened, not as a man of wealth, but as a man who had never loved like that, but kindness rarely comes without a cost. By morning, the photo was everywhere: Elise sitting at the cafe table, half-eaten food in front of her, Thomas across from her, caught mid-laugh. Someone had recorded it. Uploaded it. Within hours, it went viral, for all the wrong reasons. Millionaire stages homeless stunt for sympathy. Why was a vagrant allowed in a fine dining restaurant? Comment sections overflowed with judgment. Not questions. Not curiosity. Just cold, blind condemnation. The restaurant's manager called Thomas in a panic. "We're getting complaints." The owner's furious. "We can't be seen like this." Thomas clenched his jaw. Like what? Human. But Elise, she took it differently. When she returned to the cafe the next day to thank them, the hostess avoided her gaze. The manager asked her not to come back. "We're sorry. It's just bad for business." Elise didn't argue. She nodded, softly. "I understand. I'm used to being unwelcome." She walked away without tears. But something in Thomas broke. He tried to find her again. Called shelters. Checked bus stops. Nothing. It was like she vanished. And the silence she left behind was deafening. For the first time in his life, Thomas felt powerless. And that changed everything. Weeks passed. Thomas couldn't let it go. He had dinners with executives, flew first class, signed deals worth millions, but none of it silenced the weight in his chest. The echo of Elisa's voice, the quiet strength behind her eyes, haunted him like a song he couldn't forget. One day, while walking through an old neighborhood, he wandered into a public library. The kind with creaky floors and the smell of old pages. Children laughed softly in the corners. A peace he hadn't felt in years settled over him. At the front desk, he asked on a whim, "Do you happen to know an Elise Bennett?" The librarian tilted her head. "She cleans here. At night. Leaves notes for the kids in their books. Wait here." She returned with a yellowed envelope. On it, "To the man at table 4. Inside, Elisa's handwriting. "You saw me. That meant more than food ever could. I work here now, quietly, happily. The books don't judge. They remind me who I was. Who I still am. You don't owe me anything. But thank you, for the chair, the plate, and the dignity. If we meet again, dinner's on me." Thomas looked up, eyes glassy. "She's here now," the librarian whispered. He turned, and there she was. Sweeping. Smiling. Whole. 1 year later, the woman who once asked for leftovers stood at the front of a crowded community center, this time, not as a guest, but as the honored speaker. Elise wore a simple dress, her hair brushed back, a quiet confidence in her step. Behind her, a banner read, "Chapters of Change, 1 year of literacy, love, and second chances." Children filled the front rows, books in their laps. Parents wiped tears. Donors and local leaders watched in reverent silence. And at the back of the room, Thomas stood quietly, no suit, no cameras, just pride in his eyes. Elise stepped to the mic and held up a wrinkled cloth napkin. "This is from the night everything changed. I kept it as a reminder, not of charity, but of recognition." She took a breath, voice trembling with emotion. "I didn't need saving that night. I needed someone to look me in the eye and see me. That man did. And that single act. It didn't feed me for a day, it reminded me I was still alive." The room fell silent. Then, applause. Loud. Long reel. Afterward, Thomas joined her. She smiled, handed him a paper plate piled with food. "Leftovers," she joked, eyes twinkling. He laughed. "Best meal I've ever had."